Y'all know what I'm doing. I'm sharing. I'm sharing
Yes,
on all
indeed.
our
Good afternoon, everybody. My name
Yes.
good
is Henry.
afternoon, and I am Sharita.
And I am Ryan Jones. Welcome to Bam by Any Means.
By any means, Happy New Year, everyone. I know I say Happy New Year if I haven't seen folks or talked to them. So, Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year again.
So,
Listen.
I'm so excited because it is Black History Month.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
Yes, indeed.
The one time of the year.
I run and joke in the office about you being Black Power all the time. So
All the time. All the time, right? And here we are. We get to for a whole month. You know that it actually started off as like a Negro week, Negro History Week. That's how it really started. So I'm glad we extended it into the shortest month of the year. You know, I mean, it's better. It's better than a week. But Black history is all history. Is our history. It's not just a monthly thing. Is something that we uh, engage with every day, right? It's what's happening in the now. So um, today's episode, bold without permission, showing up when silence is rewarded. Um,
Before you go any further, Sharita, make
yeah,
sure that you please like, share, subscribe, tag somebody, share this with somebody. If you're grabbing lunch, prop your phone up, grab you a bite, get you something good to eat, and enjoy the real conversation, the raw conversation, the in depth conversation.
that's right. And try not to let food fly out your mouth. Don't choke on anything while you're eating. Um, I don't have my big cup today. I just have a regular size.
I got my water bottle.
Right. Henry, are you cold? I, I'm just saying, like, is it chilly?
I don't know where y'all are at. Ryan looks like he's in Dubai, and you from Chicago. So I'm cold.
It is quite cold, and we hope that everybody is staying nice and warm and safe while this inclement weather is taking place, going back and forth. The groundhog saw its shadows, so they say we got 6 more weeks. I'm praying that it don't be that long. Okay.
Yeah. Because we take our advice from, a groundhog about what's going on with the weather, right? That's how we get our advice. That's what's going on. So,
Hey,
absolutely.
but for real, it's a much more credible source than a lot of folks out.
Listen, right? Because when they start saying what the weather's gonna look like, and then it be nothing like that, I'd be like, really?
Right.
So we were prepared. So thank you, Mr. Groundhog, for your faithful diligence.
Right.
But yeah, let's jump right into this segment, right? So when we are talking about Black History Month, we're going to be also talking about what's happening with the climate. We're not going to ignore it by any means, as we always do. Is we're going to talk about the real raw things. So please get people in the room. We're still looking, and I'm still waiting on, but I see people showing up. Okay, all right,
Mhm.
y'all ready to hear the conversation? Let's get it going. So today we're going to start with a question. I want to pause for a second. This is also one of our co-hosts' final segments, right? Oh, you got the tissue already. Let me get in.
Already.
Make sure I had that one booger hanging out when you. This is our host final segment, so we got something special coming up at the end. But to get us started, today we're asking a question: how we continue to show up in this work without becoming silent, right? Without becoming afraid, and without losing who we are,
Wow.
right? That's a nice loaded question to start off, and I'm gonna hand it off. I want to hand it to Henry since you stepped it away. What do you think about that question? Pressure and truth.
I think this is what it means when they say I'm invited to the cookout. And I'm just noticing, you bring up the topic, and I noticed that I don't really have much to say. I noticed that there's this part which is really interesting because I've always got something to say, but there is a point I think in my experience that I've got to just hold space,
Yeah.
and really grateful to be able to do that, but also really grateful to listen and to learn. So certainly don't want to discredit, overshadow, or take over anything that's going to happen today. So you all might experience me being a little bit more laid back in the cut, Ryan,
Okay.
um, and really just supporting you all. But I can share where I feel like it's appropriate, and now's the time as you asked me to do that. Um, I think there's a risk to be bold. You know, there's a risk to speak out. And I know for me, I'm always sort of looking at what's the way I can minimize the risk.
Mm,
Where can I just say just enough to get by?
hmm
And I think that's my experience. I think it might even be part of the white experience. Um, but also, I have to take a look, at my life and see, um, are the people I'm talking to, is it too comfortable for me to be bold around those people? Whoever that is, right? It could be my wife or family, a colleague. Well, it's not very bold, though.
mm,
Right.
Right? So to be uncomfortable allows me to really be bold. And if I'm having, conversations with people and I'm not feeling uncomfortable and we're talking about some real stuff, I'm probably not having the conversation with the people that I need to talk to.
Mm,
I'm probably talking about the people that I really need to have a conversation with,
mm,
which is really interesting because, again, it can be scary to be bold. It can be scary to speak my truth, even if it doesn't land or resonate with you, because I don't want to be outcasted.
yeah.
mm,
And so I think that it's easy to get on social media and speak my truth,
Mm,
because part of coming out of the silence, part of being bold and speaking up is also recognizing the things that I say have an impact. But if I'm not witnessing and I'm not seeing how certain things land or the impact that I have, then I can hide in that
hmm
and give myself and give other people like me permission to just say whatever the hell they want to say. And that hurts people, and it continues to perpetuate many cycles that we live in. And if we all want to get to where we desire to be as a culture, as a community, as people, it's going to require us to continue to speak out and have tough conversations. And I don't know if that's like being bold as much as it is our um, um, the thing that we have to do for each other.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think that was a good way to walk into it, Henry. And I appreciate you always grounding in that truth that people are afraid to speak on. Brian, what are your thoughts as we get ready to navigate this conversation?
One thing that I wanted to point out, because then the question is said to without becoming afraid,
Mm,
and without losing who we are. One thing that I have realized is that silence becomes fear when it's rooted in self protection.
mm,
And so speech becomes harm when it's rooted in control. And so being able to balance the two, and because and all of that, um, we don't have to go silent to be compassionate. You
mm.
could still be bold and be compassionate all at the same time. And so even letting the values that we have be visible before our position in that. And so being able to be show up with and be reliable, and having humility and having courage.
Okay. Thank you. I like that. I think for me, when we're talking about this topic, I can both what both of you said resonates with me well, but I also want to add to that. Um, you know, silence is a form of harm. Is also harm. And I found for me that even in my meetings this week, I had some meetings and I would have a question in my head, or I'll text someone that's in the meeting. And, I was on a couple of national calls and I'd be like, why was that said? And then I stopped and I said, no, don't do that. Let me ask the question. Let me ask the question on the platform because I found that when I'm silent, that now I replay the tape in my head and then it takes up a lot of space. Somebody's back off stage feed is, I think, is on. Y'all got to turn it off because I hear myself. Sorry.
Mine.
Was on. So I'm just hearing myself. Sorry, y'all. Because it gets, I get distracted. But when I do that, then now I set up narratives in my head. And I'm thinking, I'm replaying, and I'm trying to replay what I should have said at the moment, and then it takes up unnecessary space. And I create narratives. I mean, I'm a creative already. So now I have a whole script. I done created a play. I got intermissions. I done created so much that has nothing to do with the truth, the reality, or any facts. So I think when people can understand that, and when we're talking about what's happening right now in the climate, like you said, there's risk when we open up, when we speak about those things. But my thing is, there's risk when we don't speak and when we do speak. And my thing is, which risk are you willing to take?
Hmm.
That's what the question becomes. Which risk are you willing to take? Are you willing to risk erasing the communities that are involved in the silence? Or are you willing to risk the potential loss of connections with your professional life and business? And that's where the tension has been, I think, for me in understanding my professional relationships during this time. I don't know if y'all about to say anything about that. Do you have any feedback? And join the conversation, you guys. We can see the comments if you have any. As I
When I
to my
even when even when I'm silent, Was that crazy look at me?
No, because I can hear myself. I keep hearing myself.
Okay, because you got that look in your eyes. Sometimes it'll just shut a whole person down. My nervous system about almost just
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out my technical
yeah,
difficulties over
yeah.
here
It's
because
all
I keep
good. It's
hearing
all good.
myself.
You know, silence is also active participation.
Mm,
Hmm.
You know, even when I'm not saying something, I'm saying something.
mm-hmm.
You know, but what's the message that I want people to really hear? What's the message, that I want people to feel? I said a few minutes ago that I might be a little more silent, today, and so we can use silence, right? We can use our silence to protest. We can use our silence to, support. But I can't get mad at you for not answering the questions I have if I've never asked the question.
Hmm.
I can only be upset with myself.
Yeah.
But because that's hard to grapple with, I'll oftentimes project that onto other people.
Mm,
Why don't you hear me? Why aren't you listening to me?
Hmm.
And that just may, for me, that just may not be what's actually happening. So I've got to get real honest and real clear with myself and to let the people around me know, like, yo, look, I might be silent today. Y'all might not hear much from me today. I might go off the grid this week, right? Because again, there are risks, and I know that sometimes when a friend of mine or a colleague or someone I'm used to talking to, when they go silent, I might get afraid
Yeah.
for them, right? So again, I think it's really interesting this topic about silence and bold. And I would say also it has to be done with intentionality.
Definitely. And even even when I like what you said about how silence can hurt. Even in that, and how you said that silence is still a response. But silence is also it can be a safety net for some. They because they don't they may not like you said, it can cause fear, but it also can cause it can have a sense of feeling of complete as well too, because that silence can notate, that the strength as well too. I know for me, my silence comes a lot. If I get quiet on you, I'm powering up, so that way I can proceed with wisdom and proceed with a good cautiousness, a good caution. I guess if you can hear that.
real quick, pause for a second. So, can one of y'all? Can we? We're gonna take a second, real quick, you guys, because there's some technical difficulties on this end. There's a lot of feedback, so it just is messing up on my end. I don't know if you all hear it.
Not really. Yeah, I'm not having any on my end. What about you, Haley?
No,
Is your noise cancellation on?
See, that's the man. See, that's what's happening. It's gotta be. I'm gonna try to work through it.
Like I can hear you on your keyboard. Like I can hear all of that.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to get through this without the technical difficulties distracting me. Is a huge distraction. And I'm listening to you all talk about this, and I think what comes up for me is that, and I think that people don't know how to share even that piece, Henry. You're saying it, but I don't think people know how to say or how to speak on it without, I guess, the discomfort.
Yeah.
I think people assume that it's not uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to tell people it's going to be uncomfortable when you start practicing, when you start announcing, hey, I'm going to be quiet, or I want to actually, I want to share the space right now. I want to be intentional. I want to set the tone in this way. I want to acknowledge whiteness. I want to use that language. And I think it's something to say to people to say, it's going to be uncomfortable. No one said that this, these conversations are going to be easy,
Hmm.
but they need to be had. And I think that's what comes up is that people hear this, and I think the assumption is it is not supposed to feel uncomfortable.
But you're going to lose relationships in your life.
Yes.
You're going to miss out on opportunities. But the truth is, nobody, even my wife, nobody really knows me the way that I know me.
Mm, mm,
And once I got with that piece, really in my own journey, I really got to a place where I stopped worrying so much about what other people think about me.
mm.
Yeah.
Because where are those people at, whoever that is in my life when I'm at my lowest,
Yeah.
when I'm depressed, when I've been suicidal, when I felt like running from everything in my life,
Hmm.
right? So it's the same people that I avoid speaking truth to are the same people that aren't there when I really need somebody the most.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I only have one set of value and it's getting distributed across all these people, most that I don't even know, that have no real value for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and as you talk about that, it is relevant to this time, right? So we acknowledged if you're just joining us, thank you for joining. Please share the stream. You can also share the stream on YouTube if people don't have platforms like they don't have Facebook. You can absolutely share the YouTube stream and they can join us there. Drop it in the comments area. Um, but as we talk about this, and really grounded in what's happening in Black history when we think about our Black leaders and people that risk relationships. Because, I don't think a lot of people understand that the leaders that spoke up in the Black community, even after Martin Luther King, um, a lot of people don't realize that they risked their relationships within the Black community itself. We were called too radical in our time.
Yeah.
We were called dangerous. So when people say that about me now, it's too much. You're threatening. It's intimidating. And I'm sitting here like, and my response is usually that's okay, right? That what they don't understand is that that's not new to us in our community. Progress, the rebellions that we had to situate in our communities to move forward, they never came with everyone's approval. In fact, most people didn't approve. I think that people have romanticized a lot of the struggles in Black communities, like the famous bus boycott that lasted over a year. A lot of people romanticize that, but I don't think people really sit back and reflect and lament or think about how many families may have broken up during that time in Black community,
Hmm.
right? Um, Harm reduction similarly. How many people step away and say the same thing that we hear on the other side? of this line that we walk. That's dangerous. I can't be a part of that. So the next question that layers into that is, who taught us that survival requires disappearing?
In fact, our ancestors survived um, by refusing to be erased. And so it didn't come from vanishing, but it came from showing up and in bodies that were targeted, voices that were policed, lives
Mm-hmm.
that were declared expendable.
Mm-hmm.
And so knowing knowing that allows us to like how they sang when silence was enforced.
Mm-hmm.
You said I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't talk and say nothing, but you didn't tell me I couldn't sing. They gathered when gathering was criminal.
Mm-hmm.
They told the truth when lies were laws. Um,
Mm.
and so what they did was they learned when to hide, when to hide, but never forgot who they were. And so
Mm.
that allowed them that when they bent, they did not disappear. When they adapted, when they adapted, they didn't not into nothingness, but into resistance, creativity, and in hope.
Mm. Yeah. Odell shared people only want harm reduction at the tables and committees when it's an absolute dire necessity. Then change the narrative once they get what they want, woo, or need. Thank you. Thank you for that, Odell.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I think that that was a good point. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, how people navigated that, how people what do we call it? Pivot.
hmm I want to take even just a second to just honor the boldness of those who stayed visible when visibility was dangerous.
Mm.
It got dangerous. It was many lives that were lost. It was many lives, children, men, and women. And but we, even at just talking in lineage, we inherited their courage when we refused to shrink ourselves or for comfort and approval or access. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So their boldness had to come through a lineage. And so, how you said that some people say to you, that that you're very strong, and all of that is inherited in our culture, to survive and not vanish.
Mm-hmm.
And to survive is to remain rooted. And that's one of the things, sometimes, that danger that is, and that boldness, it actually helps to deeply root us into the names, into being remembered and to be present.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any thoughts, Henry?
I'm in that spot now where I'm just listening and taking it in and just noticing the compassion and the sweetness and the anger that's there for me. Um, you know, there's this. And I've mentioned on here, I think before. There's this like this culture envy,
Mm.
that I experience when I sit back and I listen. And I'm like, well, I don't have that.
Mhm.
Whatever that is, I don't know what that feels like.
Mhm.
And so I'm really grateful, not just for this moment, but all the for all the times that we've shared us that we've shared together where you've taught me.
Most
Mm.
definitely.
Well,
That's
thank you for that.
definitely.
Um, I love that you are really grounding and rooting this conversation, Brian, in the truths of what our community holds, and I think it's rather timely, um, because there's so much disconnect with people not understanding the responses of what's going on in Minneapolis. People not really understanding the responses of when we push back, what protest really means, what violence, what uprising really means when we're now reacting physically or it becomes more aggressive.
Hmm.
You know, that the underbelly of that anger that's a constant thread and how it shows up in different parts of the system. You know, I think this month allows people to see that why we say Black history is our history collectively in this country. Because if you look at it, we're all living through the resistance
Hmm.
through what's happening. Regardless whether you agree with it or not, you don't have to agree with any of this, but you can't ignore it. And you can pretend, but just because we pretend it's not there don't mean it's not really happening. So I think that us acknowledging that this month in itself, it allows us to pause for a minute and really name this moment of what's happening. What's happening.
Hmm.
When we talk about naming moments and naming weight and naming transitions and timeliness, um, when me and Ryan thought about our first podcast episode the of this month and layering it. We said, well, it's natural because life happens, right? We don't get to stop. Even when people transition out of life, so out of the physical form into the spirit realm or whatever. If we transform into another being or wherever your beliefs are, life can just continues to go on. People will wake up the next day and move forward regardless. Um, but what I like to do is say that we have the opportunity to acknowledge the both ends of life. So we were like, yeah, we're gonna layer it with acknowledging what this month means, acknowledging the heaviness of all the things that are happening in our climate as we move forward. At the same time, share space with the transition of one of our leaders, our colleague, our friend in this work, and take some intentional time with it,
Yeah.
right? So now we're going to create some uncomfortable space for Henry. Um, I want to acknowledge the weight of this conversation as we try to bring it all together in 45, 50 minutes. I want to acknowledge that this is one of my colleagues' final spaces in here, something that we put together that came as a thought, an idea, and said, okay, we're going to create this and build it. But one thing we know is that we're not always going to be the same people and the same entity in these spaces. So, Henry,
Yeah.
Hen dog.
right, reflect. We want to hear, as you step away from this co host seat, what do you want our audience, our people, the people who have been joining us on this journey since we started? What do you want and hope how what should they remember, especially moments like this? How we showed up here. What do you want people to remember?
We all have a responsibility, and that we all play a part in our homes, in our communities, at our job, in our city, in our state, like everywhere in the world. We all have a responsibility, and part of that responsibility is being accountable
Hmm.
and owning the truth, even if it's uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Because I heard somewhere that the truth is really what sets us free.
Hmm.
Because if I don't stand for anything, I'll fall for anything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's a whole lot of lies and deceit and half truths and misinformation and confusion and unreputable sources. And so it can get really difficult to know where things really are. But to come back to ourselves and to come back to myself and to ask myself, those questions, because it always starts with me and it always ends with me. And I'll say this: I lost a really good friend and a family about 5 years ago. About 5 years coming up, um, 6 years ago, because we're coming into the 6 year after the pandemic.
Mhm.
And I have my own thoughts and I have my own beliefs and I share them. And I got called a socialist from this person who, um, I was the best man in their wedding, and our relationship goes way back. And said that because I'm a socialist, he doesn't feel that I'm safe to be around his kids.
Mhm.
It's really interesting. So I lost that relationship, and I still feel sad about it when I think about it. And just a few weeks ago, I was asked a question. What do I think about everything that's happening? And I chose to give a soft answer. I'm not really in the mood to engage. Our last podcast, Ryan, we talked about the $2 billion that's being reallocated from addiction treatment and harm reduction from this administration.
Hmm.
And because I gave a soft answer to people that looked like me, they started to clump me up in followers of this current administration.
Wow.
Which I sit back and I find it to be interesting that people that look like me, people that I connect with on a lot of different bases, they're going to judge me this way if I say that. And if I say the same thing to a different person, they're going to judge me this way
Hmm.
for the same thing, the same belief. So I'm going to speak the truth and I'm going to speak from my heart, regardless if I'm put on this end or if I put on this end. Because when I'm with my kids and my wife at night and I'm laying in bed, I can honestly check in with myself that I know where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And I know where I'm at in relation to me. See, a lot of people got it confused. I know where I'm at in relation to you. I know where you're at in relation to me, but where am I at in relation to me? Am I lying to myself?
Mm-hmm.
Am I oppressing myself? Am I denying myself? And that's hard
Yeah.
because when I wake up in the morning and I brush my teeth and at night before I go to bed, the first person and the last person that I see dead in the eyes is me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And not enough people are willing to look at the person in the mirror. Until we can do that and take accountability and be responsible for the communities that we live in. And I'm speaking from my experience here. I'm not speaking towards any specific person, but until we take responsibility, we're going to keep witnessing a lot of the same stuff that we've been doing.
Absolutely.
People are getting fed up and people are starting to see that there is power in numbers. There is power in silence. There is power in speaking out. That we have the power together. Not that I have more power than you or you have more power than me because the ego is always trying to size somebody up. That we have power together in our individual and in our shared collective experience in humanity. I want to say this. I want to tell a story, and then I'll be done. I welcome any wonderful things that you all have to say about me. Um, so about 10 years ago, my wife and I, for our anniversary, we went um, we went to a place that we adore in South Carolina. And while we were there, we went to a plantation. I wanted to see the plantation. I wanted to hear the stories. I wanted to see what it was like. And I get there, and I already start to feel the uneasiness in my stomach. I could feel that there are inhumane things that happen on this property that I'm at. And I ain't going into the big house. I'm staying outside the whole time. And this African American woman comes out, and she works at this place, and she is a descendant of West African people that were enslaved and brought to the United States. And this is what she says: Your story, my story. Your story, my story. Your story, my story. Your story, my story. Our story. Our story. Our story. His story. His story. And then she points to the sky and she says, His story.
Mm.
His story.
Mm-hmm.
And so, from my experience, I can't forget, I must remember, and to have faith. Again, for me, I'm not discounting anyone's experience, but for me, and I think for all of us in our own way, to really have faith that there are greater forces that are out here and
Mm-hmm.
that they always win in the end.
Oh, yes.
That's what I've got. Thank
That's
you
what.
for letting me share. Thank you for letting me share all of that.
Well, thank you for sharing, Henry. It's always going to be something profound, huh?
Always.
So, right. So I had something I wanted to share, something I prepared to say
Okay.
to you. And here it is. Let me say this the way it deserves to be said. We've been in this work for a long time, for over a decade, long enough to know that harm reduction isn't a job, it's a vow. It's what you carry when it costs you. And these last few years, walking this road together taught me things I couldn't have learned any other way. And I'm not going to dress it up. The last few months had heat on them. Okay. There's been tension, there's been frustration, moments where I felt alone and how I was carrying what I carried. But here's what's true. When I was upset, you didn't ask me to be quiet. When I was intense, you didn't call me too much. When my honesty made the room uncomfortable, you didn't punish me for it. Because I remember that moment when I lost it and I called the mayor and his team out in the call people most, and you checked me, not to silence me, not to tame me. You checked me because you knew where I stood. You always reminded me I stand on justice, and when justice isn't being served, I go harder. But even then, even when you corrected, you never told me not to be me. You reminded me to stay bold. You reminded me to stay transparent. And you reminded me to stay grounded, rooted, so my truth could stand up straight. And the thing you always say to me, the thing I'm going to carry forward, is simple: breathe.
Okay.
Not as a way to soften my conviction, but as a way to keep my spirit intact while I fight for what's right. So today, it isn't a goodbye, it's a marker, it's a pause, a hand on the shoulder that says, we made it this far. And it's until next time on our next journey, our next connection. Thank you.
Wow.
Ryan, we'll talk to you now.
Okay, so hen dog, listen, our conversations and our times where Sharita left us alone, unattended, or here on on the podcast. And the I love the healthy camaraderie that we have. And for real, I'm thankful just to be your friend. That's it. Like really, you show yourself friendly, and so it makes it easy to show myself friendly back to you. And we connect on lots of levels, and but one thing that I really appreciate that we find laughter in it all, and even in intense moments, you always dropping good nuggets, dropping good wisdom, and knowledge to share. And just as Sharita said, I've learned from you these past almost 3 years now. I've learned a lot from you, and then I've also learned from you. My main thing is how to deal with all of these females in this agency alone. Okay. And so what I did was, um, I put a little something together for you. And so I hope you enjoy, and I hope everyone enjoys.
vision that, okay, we want healthy communities, and we want, safe communities, and we want, people to have opportunity, and
Mm-hmm.
we want to see our neighbors be able to thrive,
Right.
right? We all share that, right? We all share that, like, regardless of where we live, how we were brought up, like which
Mm-hmm.
part of the state or which part of the country we live in. But see, oftentimes, right, that next rung of how is only reserved for the certain who.
Mm.
You see,
Mm.
and so we have to really start to look at, I think, before we get to the how, we have to look at who, right? Because
Whew.
it's been a great privilege that only certain who's get to experience the hows.
Mm. Mm.
And I think that's got to really be the focus first before we get to the how. I had a professor, say, if I'm not sitting at the dinner table, I might find out that I'm on the menu.
Right. Henry to our live.
One thing's for sure, Shrita, we're going to pivot.
We are going to pivot, right? I'm gonna turn I hope my volume is up louder. Turn my volume up.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello, world. Good to see ya. Welcome to BAM, By Any Means Podcast. My name is Henry Lucas.
And I am Sharita Walden. Wait a minute, here you see that? It say Miss Sharita Walden. Who did that?
I didn't do that. Come on, Auntie.
Right. Got me feeling like a whole auntie in here. Miss Sharita Walden.
Miss Sharita. Oh, what's going on, Miss Sharita? How you doing?
We love you, hen dog.
Yeah. You weren't prepared for that.
I want to say one final thing, man. Like, y'all know me. Being on this podcast, it came in my life at a time when I needed it the most. So I'm grateful for you and the space and the platform, and I'm grateful for me showing up. Um, I mean, this podcast in the last year has been one thing that's been there with me consistently through all the stuff in my life, and I'm changed. I'm changed. I read a quote last week. It said, "If you journey and you don't change, you're a nomad.
Hmm.
If you change and don't journey, you're a chameleon.
Hmm.
But if you journey and the journey changes you, you're a pilgrim."
Wow.
This is a spiritual journey that we're on, y'all. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to just show up and to be me, and I definitely feel that I receive the love from you all. So thank you so much. I'm really grateful.
Yes. I have cried on the last few of these podcasts. Lord Jesus, y'all seen me. It has been heavy. So I'm glad oh wow. Amazing.
All right, Des.
I love that.
Appreciate you, my brother.
We this has definitely been a life-changing experience. I didn't know what to expect from this podcast, but it's made movements, it's helped encourage other people to get platforms together to speak. We don't all, there's a lot of people who say, why you have a podcast? And I'm like, we all have areas of influence. And we all have circles of love and people who will learn from different ways and different voices. And so when you pushed us to put this together, because we none of us were sure. We were like, okay, let's do it. But we knew that there was a need to be with community. So to everyone that's been following us and watching us and being along for this journey of growth, we're still here.
Oh
We're
yeah.
definitely going to have Henry back. I mean, Henry does a lot of things outside of here. So stay tuned to that and hearing his voice, where he's at, what he's doing. Ryan so eloquently stepped into the role at times where we just needed him to step in and he was ready to go. And Ryan has demonstrated uh, a part of our agency that we live in that third pillar of empowerment. When we engage our community, we bring in the intentional education. The intentional, and education is not a classroom. It's education around, hey, you actually have a voice and power. And his growth over just the last few months, taking on roles, taking on opportunities, going to Florida, representing our organization, him and my colleague, and also our harm reduction program manager, going to a whole nother state in the South, a neighbor next to the conference they talked to and they wanted to donate right then and there, and they did to our organization. That's a living gift. That's natural. That's organic. So we know we have the right people. This is a time to continue to move the journey forward. And we all have this time coming. So we want to let our followers know that we will continue with the unbound, unbothered.
Mhm.
Okay, this is continuing and it's going deeper. We got some really cool ideas about guests. We've been playing with it over the year, and we're gonna have guests in here. We're gonna have you. We have other opportunities where we want people to invest time, talent, and treasure. Wait to the end of the month. We got a cool investment opportunity for you all that will help uplift our mission here in this organization, and you will be a part of this podcast is not just in Kentucky. We show it nationally. People are following us, especially during this time. So
It's
we're gonna continue.
people
Anything
all
you
over
want
the
to say,
world.
Ryan, to take us on out because we are at the hour.
And just listen, like you just said, there's people that are watching right now from back home in Virginia, that's in different states, and all over. The work is meant to be spread abroad. It's not just for just for your home, just for your house, just for you. No, it's for the world. And so, Henry, we love you. Can't wait to see you again. And like you said, it's going to continue by any means.
By any means. All right. See you guys.